So let's just set a scene for a moment. You've just finished a double shift. The ward's finally quiet, and you're running on fumes.
Completely empty. We've all been there.
Exactly. And then in the corridor, a relative comes up to you, and they are visibly angry.
You can see it in their face, that sort of tense energy.
They're complaining loudly, maybe about delays, maybe a communication error, or, a significant omission of care. And then they lean in and ask that question.
How do I complain and who is accountable?
That's the one. That moment it can derail your entire day.
It's one of the highest stress interactions you can have. And if you handle it badly, well, trust can be permanently broken.
Right. The pressure is huge because you immediately feel defensive, maybe a bit exposed, and you're rushed. So our deep dive today is all about giving you the professional shield for that exact moment.
We've basically extracted the high-yield, high-stakes guidance to give you a clear, ethical roadmap.
Our mission is to take that feeling of crisis, the complaint, and turn it into a genuine opportunity. An opportunity for safety, for learning, and for integrity.
Exactly. It's about distilling the professional mindset you need, one that aligns with the highest standards like those from the GMC here in the UK.
Okay, let's unpack this then. The source material we're looking at flags this as a must-know topic. But why is this one so critical?
Well, it's because it hits the two foundational pillars of modern healthcare: patient safety and public trust.
Oh, okay.
Every single complaint, it doesn't matter if it's big or small, it's a piece of data. It's a signal that something in the system might be broken or communication has failed. Ignoring it just makes things worse.
So there's an overarching mindset we need to adopt here. The sources call it the SJT mindset, and it's basically one single command, isn't it?
It is. It boils down to this: make it safe, listen, apologize, explain, fix, and learn promptly and honestly.
6 verbs.
If you can do those 6 things, you've pretty much met your core professional duty.
And behind all that, there are some really specific regulatory expectations.
Yeah.
We're talking about the duty of candor here.
Absolutely. When we look at the GMC's guidance, particularly paragraphs 45 to 47, it's crystal clear.
Okay, so what's the first one?
The first is about openness and candor. That's paragraph 45. It says, if things go wrong, you must be open, you must be honest, apologize, and explain what you know and what you don't know.
And I guess the clock is ticking too, right? You can't let the complaint get in the way of the actual care.
Precisely. That's the critical safety part in the next paragraphs, 46 and 47. A prompt response is demanded.
Demanded.
Yes, but, and this is key, the guidance explicitly states the complaint management must not adversely affect the patient's ongoing care. Clinical safety always, always comes first.
Right, and that brings us to what I think is the biggest psychological barrier. And frankly, it's the highest yield point in our source material.
I think I know where you're going with this.
The word sorry. I mean, I know so many clinicians who just freeze up at the idea of saying it.
I do.
Because they think it's an admission of personal fault, or worse, that it's opening them up to legal action. Is that fear actually justified?
It is an absolute myth that we really need to bust. That fear is probably the single biggest barrier to compassionate, effective communication.
So what's the official line on it?
The guidance is unequivocal. A sincere apology is not only the right thing to do, it's professionally expected. And what's fascinating is that it explicitly states, apologizing does not, of itself, admit legal liability.
That is the aha moment. That changes everything.
It really does, because it separates emotional accountability from legal culpability.
So you're not apologizing for being negligent.
Exactly. You are apologizing for the person's poor experience, for their distress, for the negative outcome. It's an act of compassion that maintains trust. If you don't apologize for a bad experience, you just sound defensive, and the relationship is broken right there.
It frees you up to act like a professional human being, not like a defendant. So let's get into the practical toolkit. The sources give us a really neat, stepwise framework. In mnemonic, repair.
REPAIR. Yeah, it's a great memory hook. It ensures you manage the immediate risks, you communicate well, signpost properly, and then you close the learning loop.
Okay, let's start with the first R. Risk safe now. We've established safety is number 1. What are we looking for before we even think about the apology?
You're looking for immediate danger, which tends to come in 3 flavors: clinical, confidentiality, and conduct.
Okay, clinical first.
Is the patient deteriorating? Was the complaint about a missed medication that needs to be given right now? That's your first stop.
And confidentiality.
Was there a breach? Does it need immediate reporting and containment?
And finally, conduct.
Is the person complaining becoming aggressive or threatening? In any of those cases, you escalate, you get help, you treat the risk before you manage the communication.
Okay, risk contained. We move to E, empathize. What does good empathy look like when you're under this much pressure?
It means actively listening. It means acknowledging their distress without immediately trying to justify yourself.
But using phrases like,
I can hear how frustrating this must have been, or I really do understand why you're so upset about this. The biggest pitfall is to get defensive or start blaming another team.
instant trust breaker.
Instantly. You have to give them space to vent.
Okay, so after listening, we move to P and A. Provide apology and account of facts, next steps. We know how to do the apology now, but what about the account? How do we do that without speculating?
You give that sincere apology for their distress. Then you stick strictly to what you know factually, no assumptions. And if you don't know the answer, you say so.
I don't know, but I will find out.
Exactly that. And you immediately follow up with the clear next steps you will take, and this is critical, a timeline for when they can expect an update from you. Vague promises are useless.
And what if they want to take it further? That takes us to I. Inform routes. You have to tell them how to complain formally, right?
You have a duty to signpost them. And there are two main paths here. The first is apologise, the patient advice, and liaison service.
That's the informal route.
Yes, it's often local, designed for quick resolutions, answering questions, that sort of thing.
And the second, more formal path.
That's the local formal complaints team. And when you direct them there, you should mention that services apply the PHSO NHS complaint standards.
VHSO.
The Parliamentary and Health Service Ombudsman. Mentioning them shows the patient that there's a structured, official, and fair process available.
That distinction is so useful. Okay, finally, the last R, record and learn. This ties it all back to making this system better.
Two parts to this. First, you document the conversation factually in the notes. Who, what, when, what you said, that you apologized and signposted.
This is the thick part.
This is the learning bit. If patient safety was or could have been affected, a delay, an omission, you must file an incident report. That's how the system learns. It turns a single complaint into a catalyst for real change.
That repair framework is so clear. But we know under pressure, it's easy to fall into traps. The source material points out a few classic low-scoring options.
Yeah, and recognizing these wrong instincts is half the battle.
Okay, trap one. Defensiveness or blame. We've touched on this, but why is it so common?
It's just a natural human reaction to feeling attacked. But professionally, blaming another team, say it was the porters or radiology is always slow, is completely unprofessional.
Because it's a system failure, not an individual's.
Almost always. It's understaffing, it's poor handovers, flawed processes. Deflecting just blocks any chance to learn and fix the actual problem.
Okay, trap two. Vague avoidance. What does that look like?
Oh, it's the easy way out. Saying something like, I'll pass this on to someone higher up tomorrow, or you should email someone about that.
With no actual detail.
Exactly. It gives the illusion of action, but it's actually avoiding your duty to inform them properly. You have to give them specific contact details for PALS or the complaints team.
All right, and trap three. Overpromising. This one sounds like it comes from a good place, but it backfires.
It backfires badly. You're trying to help, so you say, I promise the consultant will call you at 8 a.m.
But you can't actually control that.
You can't. And when the promise is broken, which it might be, you've just eroded trust even further. You've created a second complaint. You should only be definite about your own actions.
Like, I will call the lab now, and I will update you by 5 p.m.
That's it. You're combining safety, empathy, candor, and clear reads. That's what scores the highest marks.
So let's give you some model phrases to take away. What's a good opener that hits apology and next steps?
I like something along the lines of, I want to start by saying I'm genuinely sorry this has been so distressing for you. Here's what I know factually right now, and here's exactly what I will do to investigate.
That covers all the bases. Empathy, candor, commitment. And how do you phrase the signposting without sounding like you're just passing the buck?
You use empowering language. Say something like, if you feel you need to raise a formal complaint, there is a clear process for that. PLS can guide you and explain your rights. I'll write down their direct contact details for you right now.
You're supporting them, not dismissing them.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean for you, the learner, in those high-pressure moments? We've really tried to cut through the noise and give you that clear, GMC-compliant toolkit with repair.
I think it boils down to 3 key takeaways. First, Always, always safety first. Then lead with empathy and a sincere apology. And remember that apology is not a legal admission of fault.
Right. And second,
Second, be clear. Explain what you know based on facts, outline definite next steps that you control, and give a concrete timeline for an update. No vague promises.
and the third takeaway.
And third, signpost clearly to the official routes PLS or the formal complaints process. Then document the facts, and if safety was ever a risk, you must file an incident report to make sure the system learns.
This whole process, mastering this repair framework, it's all fundamentally linked to that core duty of candor. And I was thinking, consider how adopting this transparent, safety-first approach really strengthens your own professional integrity.
That's a great point. It's not just about protecting patients or the service.
No, it's about protecting your own professional core. So here's a final thought to leave you with. How does this transparent approach change the perceived relationship between you and the patient? It seems to move the dynamic away from one of fear and blame and towards partnership and growth, even when there's bad news to deliver. That commitment to integrity, even in a crisis, is probably your greatest professional asset.